Hi, I'm Ron Laity, Culinary Development Chef for Miso Neuro, and this recipe is a quick miso sauerkraut with a Beef Yakitori Piadina Roll. First, to the sauerkraut. Now, sauerkraut is usually a pickled cabbage. This one can actually be ready in about an hour. However, if you do it now and leave it overnight, it actually picks up more flavour. But let's do the pickling first. So I have my shirigiku, I have some water, and I have some mirin. So I'm mixing up my miso. Now miso, the reason for putting the miso in with the vinegar is to add that extra sourness, because the vinegar itself is quite light, the shirigiku. It's not a heavy duty vinegar, but you want some, with sauerkraut, you tend to want a little bit of sort of sourness, that sort of sour cream type of background. Now, miso will help to enhance that. So I've mixed those all together. I will now take your basic cabbage, a nice white one, a nice purple one, sharp knife, sharp as possible, and if you can get it as thin as you possibly can. The thinner it is, the quicker it wilts. If you end up with chunky pieces of cabbage, it'll take that longer to wilt. So you want a nice sort of crunchy but wilted finished cabbage. Now, put that one into your mix there on one side. Do the same with your red cabbage. Again, as thinly as possible. Albeit I've called it a sauerkraut, I'm trying to sort of, it's a quick sauerkraut, so generally sauerkraut takes a lot longer, but adding the miso to the vinegar, to the shirigiku, will almost mimic that sauerkraut taste. So put them together, and then you can put them to one side for an hour and then use them. If you let them sit overnight, you will end up with that. So that itself, after 1 hour, is fine. Overnight, you'd get the white cabbage will pick up a little bit of the purple, and it's a little bit more wilted, but it still has that little snap, which is what you want. Now, yakitori generally is done over a grill. Now, the grill is usually wood or some sort of barbecue, because when you cook, the meat will pick up the smoke from the wood, from the burning charcoals. Now we're going to mimic that, which is quite easy. If you put your heat on, get a nice thick pan, put it on there and let it sit. Don't do anything. Next, your beef. Sirloin or some such soft steak. You can use one steak for a lot of portions, so it's not an expensive, whilst it's an expensive cut, it's not an expensive dish. So you're going to sit about, let me cut, it's going to be just under an inch square. You don't want too small, because the smaller it is, the quicker it cooks. The quicker it cooks, then you'll miss out on the sort of softness, the crunchy on the outside, the softness on the inside. So I've cut the sirloin into squares. Nice sizes to go on the skewers, and your pan is fine, still there heating up. So I'm going to cut my eringi, king oyster mushroom, definitely the best, because it's got a firm texture. They're usually a bit bigger, so you go down the middle, but with this, because it's a bit smaller, I'm going to cut like that, because you're just going to match up with your beef. You know, you kind of want something the similar size, remembering that the beef will shrink a little bit, whilst the mushroom probably won't do, because it's actually, whilst mushrooms do have a lot of moisture, this one actually holds its shape very well. All right, skewer. Get a piece of beef, put it on. Now, when you get to a mushroom, you want to try and go in that side, because if you go in there, it'll split. So if you go in there and just do slowly, it'll hold the mushroom very well. Another piece of beef, another mushroom, like that. And then just give it a little squash. So you're matching it, so it's all kind of the same size then. And keep doing that. Again, let's do one more so we've got an even flow. Before you do anything, you can either get a little pot and mix up your shiragiku, soy sauce and mirin in the little pot and get a brush and just brush it over. Or you can get a spiralizer and just give it a... This I prefer because you can get an even... Right, see what that's like. Take one, straight on, no oil. You can hear that straight away. You want that sound because you don't want oil, you don't want to fry it. You've actually created a mini teppanyaki. So you're going to get that teppan yakitori smoky little addition to your steak and mushroom. Right, let that go, keep it going. Now if you have a look at the flame, you could actually go a little bit higher. You don't want to get too high, but you want sort of medium to medium high. The thing about cooking steaks or cooking anything with beef is you don't want to do that. The more you have a look, the more you lift it, the less it cooks. Get another pan, put that on, and you want to warm up your flatbreads. Flatbreads will literally take a minute and a half. Now the Piadina flatbreads are really nice for this. Obviously you can use a tortilla or anything such like that, but you need to get a sort of decent one. You want one that's with a good flour, so it gives a nice texture. So you want to put it in the heat, literally probably a minute. Let's leave it, see what it does. But you don't want it to dry it out because you want to be able to bend it. So assemble your bits. Now I have creme fraiche mixed with a touch of wasabi. And the reason I'm using the creme fraiche is because creme fraiche goes really well with cooked beef. Wasabi obviously carries through instead of using a mustard. And with your pickled cabbages, you're actually deconstructing coleslaw. So you have your coleslaw cabbage and either your mayonnaise or your creme fraiche for the cream. But we're not going to put them together. This will sit on top of your sticks. Right, that looks good. Flip that one over, it's warm. Put these on their side. If they don't flip on their side, just turn them over. And you can see that from the mirin in here, they're picking up the colorization. From the shiragiku, they're picking up the seasoning combined with the soy sauce. So you notice I've not put any salt on anything. So the soy and the shiragiku, the combination of those two with the amino acids is acting as a seasoning agent in the same way that salt does, but it's giving it extra umami because of the sake leaves used in the shiragiku vinegar. And it's also the mirin, when you fry or cook with it, it will give you that colorization, that really lovely caramel sort of color. Now as it's cooking there, you can give it another spray. Let that cook a bit more. Now your flatbread is warm, that's fine. You don't want to do any more than that. Put her over there. Cut her in half. Now you can see after spraying, there's a lot of little bits of moisture that have come off. Now what you want to do is move it around. So what you're in fact doing is you've got the smokiness from the frying pan, you've got the liquid from your spray, and it's almost mimicking yakitori. Right, give it a poke. Yeah, that's done. You can tell it's done. Here, when your fist is like that, that's done. Almost well done. When you do it like that, that's a medium rare. When it's like that, it needs cooking a bit more. So that's a good test. They're definitely done. There'll be a bit pink in the middle, which is fine. Turn the heat off. Make sure you turn them around in that liquid. You don't want to waste any of it. get ready to assemble. So you can see there's a little bit of liquid there, but leave that because that'll be a little bit of the fat from it, so you don't want too much fat. Right, assemblage. You take like that, one of them, add two to a portion. You can wrap it or leave it open. What I'll do is I'll do two so you can see. Actually, I'd like to open up a stall and start selling these at the end of a football match. That would be cool. Brilliant. So to eat it, roll, tuck and roll, hold it, take it out,